Okay, let's talk about a piece of tech you use every single day, but probably never, ever think about. And no, it's not your phone. It's the toilet. But this isn't about plumbing. What you're about to see is a story about a global revolution in sanitation.
For most of us, a safe, private toilet is just a given. But for billions of people, it's a luxury they just don't have. And this isn't just some minor inconvenience. We're talking about a daily crisis that puts their health, their safety, and even their dignity at risk.
Just let that number sink in. 2.5 billion people. That's more than a third of the entire planet living without something many of us consider a basic human right. The scale of this problem is it's almost impossible to wrap your head around.
So yeah, this is way more than a hygiene issue. It's a crisis that affects everything: health, safety, especially for women and girls, and just basic human dignity. So when you're faced with a problem that huge, where do you even begin to solve it? Well, you launched a quest, and that's exactly what the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation did back in 2011. They put out a global call to arms for engineers, scientists, and innovators with one massive mission: build a toilet for the 21st century. So what does a next-generation toilet even look like? Well, the requirements they laid out were incredibly ambitious. This wasn't about making a few tweaks to the old model. This was about inventing something totally new, from the ground up. And just look at this list. These criteria sound like something straight out of science fiction. A toilet that needs zero connection to water, sewers, or electricity? A toilet that actually creates valuable stuff like energy and clean water? And it has to do all that for less than 5 cents a day? Oh, and on top of it all, it has to be cool enough that people actually want one. That is a ridiculously high bar. So, the world got its first peek at this wild future at the reInvent the Toilet Fair in India. And let me tell you, this was not your average trade show. It was a showcase for brilliant, world-changing ideas. Let's break down some of the biggest themes that came out of it. Okay, the first major breakthrough, and this is a real game changer, was a shift in thinking. What if human waste wasn't, well, waste? What if it was actually a valuable resource? A ton of the most exciting ideas were focused on exactly that, turning something we just throw away into useful products. A perfect example of this is a material called biochar. Just think of it like a super charcoal that's made from organic waste. And it's incredibly useful. You can use it to make soil richer for farming, you can press it into little briquettes for fuel, or you can even use it to filter water. How cool is that? And listen, this isn't just some theory in a lab. Organizations like Synergy and Kenya are doing this right now. They've built an entire business where sanitation isn't a cost. It's actually a source of income. And that is the key to making this whole thing last. But it gets even crazier. Other teams took it a step further, figuring out how to turn waste directly into electricity. Unilever had a system that used heat to produce energy, while a team from Delft University created a process that makes a gas that can power a fuel cell. Two totally different paths, one incredible outcome. A toilet that literally powers itself. All right, the next big theme tackles one of the toughest challenges: creating toilets that are totally self-contained. See, for those 2.5 billion people, the biggest problem is often a total lack of infrastructure. No sewer lines, no reliable water, no electricity. So the solution is to make a toilet that is the infrastructure. I mean, just imagine a complete, all-in-one sanitation system that can be delivered on the back of a truck, ready to go in minutes. The nanomembrane toilet from Cranfield University is a perfect example of this. It's a self-contained powerhouse that turns waste into clean water right on the spot. So how on earth does it do that? Well, the process is pure genius. First, a waterless flush seals everything in, so there are no odors. Then, these super advanced nanomembranes literally pull clean water out of the waste. That water gets purified right there, so it's safe to use. And the leftover solids, they're safely coated and contained. It's like having a whole water treatment plant inside a toilet. And the speed of all this innovation was just staggering. I mean, think about it. The global challenge gets launched in 2011. By 2013, it's already expanded into India and China. And just a year after that, in 2014, the world is seeing the very first versions of these incredible new toilets. So we've got the tech. We have these amazing, revolutionary devices that could turn waste into water and energy.
But here's the big question. Is a brilliant toilet, by itself, actually enough to solve a crisis that affects billions of people? And the experts at the fair knew the answer was a huge, resounding no. Because a brilliant toilet sitting in a lab doesn't help anyone. To really make an impact in the real world, you need a whole system. You've got to go way beyond just the hardware. It turns out real success rests on 3 big pillars. First, of course, is the technology, those amazing toilets themselves. But that's just piece 1. You also need sustainable business models like the ones from Sanergy that make sanitation profitable. And finally, and this is so important, you need behavior change, with groups like Sesame Workshop and UNICEF helping communities actually adopt and use these new solutions. If one of those pillars is missing, the whole thing falls apart. Right. The real win here isn't about just dropping a high-tech toilet into a village and then driving away. It's about building a whole local economy around it, creating jobs for people to install them, to service them, and to sell the valuable stuff that comes out. That's what makes it truly sustainable. So, where does all this lead? If this massive effort really takes off on a global scale, what does the future of sanitation actually look like? Well, success means we're saving lives. It means we're giving women and girls the safety and dignity they absolutely deserve. It means we're creating brand new jobs and a whole new sanitation economy. And it means we're protecting our planet's most precious resource, water. The ripple effects are just immeasurable. When you really boil it all down, this entire challenge is about completely reframing the way we think. It's taking something that has always been seen as a human liability, our waste, and turning it into a massive human opportunity for health, for wealth, and for dignity. For over a century, the toilet's job was simple. Just make waste disappear. But the innovators you've just seen asked a much simpler and much more powerful question. What if a toilet's new job wasn't to take things away, but to create value instead? That one question is already changing the world.